What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast. We're talking about the latest and greatest of cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on? So, welcome to another week of the podcast. So, this is Cybersecurity Awareness Month, so it's very timely. So happy Cybersecurity Awareness Month, everybody. Please continue to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. We are picking up steam. I would like to keep that up as long as possible. We almost hit 2,000 last month, which is like 3.5 times normal traffic. So definitely appreciate everybody for liking, listening, and watching. So without further ado, I'll give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. So this article comes from darkreading.com. And it's written by the Dark Reading staff, actually. And it's DHS, physical security concern in Johnson Controls Cyberattack. So there was an internal memo that went out to DHS, or internal memo cites the DHS floor plans that could have been accessed in the breach. So Johnson Controls is a third party that actually works for the Department of Homeland Security that does a lot of things for them, right? Like, so it has their floor plans, does some physical security things, and they recently got hacked, right? So according to some media reports, officials detailed in an internal memo that Johnson Controls has classified sensitive contracts, right, for DHS. And again, it shows the physical layout of some of their facilities, and it's not a good thing, right? So for anybody who's seen Mission Impossible, right, when these things get out, like all of a sudden Luther can get into your building, right? That's how it works, you know. But yeah, this is one of those things where this is what the current administration was trying to avoid with it was a couple years ago. They put out the cybersecurity, what was it? It was the safeguards, the cyber safeguards thing that they put out a few years ago, right? Where they were like, this is what companies that work for the federal government, this is how they're going to secure and things like that. And again, we had issues with that where we mentioned a story before where self-attestation is one of those things where we allowed a company to take care of it themselves, and this is what we get, right? And I'm not saying that's the case here, but they got hacked. That information got leaked, right? And this is the world we are in today, right? Like, we cannot expect that our government organizations are going to do all this stuff in-house, right? There are going to be, because frankly speaking, these companies that are outside of the government, I mean, sometimes they do it bigger and better than the DoD can do, right? Like, they already have the infrastructure. They're getting paid the money. They attract more talent that are able to do these things for them, right? So these ransomware attacks that they're doing, like they did on Johnsonware Controls, like this is becoming more and more common. And they talk about them going deeper and deeper into these systems to get this type of information, right? So this is the stuff that people are willing to pay for that may have, you know, not so great intentions, right? And by that I mean your state actors, right? Your Russias, your Chinas, your North Koreas, right? Because we already know there's instances where they get people in these situations, right? Like, spies are out there and they make it to different levels, you know what I mean, in some of the levels of government, you know. But again, this is one of those things where you know, I think it's kind of unavoidable unless you do everything in-house, right? And that's not a guarantee. Like, we're not in a position to do that, right? So the government, in some instances, it's even cheaper for them to outsource these types of things, like what Johnson Cyber Controls, or Johnson Controls, not Cyber Controls, Johnson Controls is the name of the company, with what they're doing, right? So they're just paying some money and say, hey, this is what we need from you. Can you provide this service? Yes, let's make it happen. And this is what we get, right? Like, this is, in this day and age, like, we know it's unavoidable, right? Like, if it was, you wouldn't see our lovely faces every week, right? Because this is the type of stuff we bring to you. But Ryan, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of lovely faces, please go to the YouTube channel and like, share, subscribe there as well. Subscribe if you have not subscribed, so you can see our beautiful faces and our beards, glorious beards. Shannon strokes his beard. Yes, I think a lot of it will boil down to the government has to outsource these things. Like you said, we just don't necessarily have that stuff built in, and we're not supposed to a certain extent, because there's a whole vendor management system. There's the having to bid for contracts. It creates jobs and things of that nature. So there has to be third party support. But with that, like you said, third party attestation, the government is responsible for putting out questionnaires, right, to vet their third party vendors to make sure they have the proper security controls and things of that nature, as well as the NIST CSF 2.0 is around the corner, and it's going to go deeper into supply chain management and governance. So all that stuff is coming to fruition. In this case, things happen, unfortunately. Like they haven't really explained how the breach took place, whether it was a phishing attempt or what have you. However, there's lots of implications there. So were they probably vetted? And if they did fill out the questionnaire and said that they were secure and this was not an issue, did they lie? So right, the False Claims Act could also be leveraged against them in this case, as well as who are the bad actors who stole the data and who they're going to sell it to. So we talked about war crimes in the past as well. Like, can you be charged with a war crime if you're involved in such an attack? So in this case, I would ask, can you be charged with treason if this is an American entity that's selling it to a foreign body? Like, could you go away forever because you stole the plans to a federal building and sold it to Russia? Like that's also a question that can be asked in the future. So there are far-reaching implications I don't think people are really thinking about and necessarily care about. But as this continues to evolve, I can see this hitting the court system and being very messy, potentially for the vendor and whomever stole this stuff, right? Like you might go to jail forever because of this. So it's pretty crazy, and it like the entire week. So please keep coming back for all of the episodes, because all of it kind of feeds into the government budget and how cybersecurity is so tied to it, and how a government shutdown could potentially cause all types of craziness. So yeah, I find it interesting. So I think in the future, a lot of this stuff will be kind of resolved through red tape, right? Like there's going to be a whole lot more attestations, be whole lot more questionnaires and things of that nature, vendor management. In this case, it's too late. So it's going to be interesting to see where these blueprints and things of that nature eventually wind up. So hopefully they don't, but if they do, we'll see what the future holds for these people.
So even though we're guessing at this, right? Like with the self-attestation and that's, why we assumed everything was good. Like my problem is not necessarily with that, right? Like I understand the amount of personnel it would take to for every person that's a partner with the Department of Defense or the U.S. government.
Right.
I understand the manpower it would take to do that with all of them. But if we're going to say that it's a trust but verify thing, right?
Yeah.
Trust but verify. Like we're going to allow you to do this, but we are going to check on you once a year, twice a year, however long it may be, right? And it's going to suck, right? Like it's going to be a lot of going out and inspecting, like probably like a week at a time. Remember all those inspections we used to get, right? Like CCRIs and stuff like that.
Quiz and
week, yeah. You know what I mean? Like we would have all those things, right? OREs, ORIs, things of that nature. Like it takes a little bit of time when boots are on the ground, but I want the follow-up to be better, right? Like if that is the case, I don't mind them saying, yes, we're doing it. Here's proof that we're doing it. Someone's going to sign off on it. If they're not doing what they say they're going to do, or that they have done, then yeah, there should be repercussions for that. But
yeah, it's going to be costly. So I mean, eventually all that stuff just trickles back into the budget. Like you will bake it in, but in this case, this company's going to have to get tested again, right? Like so they're going to have to clean up the mess, whatever that is, fines, penalties, things of that nature, potential burning of bridges, loss of contracts. And then they're going to have to reach back out to a company to be vetted again, to be tested, have their NIST or their ISO or whatever framework they fall under. And then they're going to have to try to recompete again. So the implications, like it's better to just do it right the first time, because it's going to have significant impacts on them. But now all the other companies are probably going to be, they're over there making diamonds because they're nervous and worried. Like, will we fall under the same pressures or have the same challenges? Because we can't mess up, because then it's a vicious cycle, right? So we'll see what the future holds. Like it has those smaller budget implications, but then on a grand scale, like who stole this stuff? Will they be caught? And if they are, I don't think that it's written in the books yet, but I can see treason. What implications does that have, right? Like, are they still out here death by fire squad for people who betray the government and their people. I don't know.
Punishable by death, right?
Right. So, but again, I'm going down the extreme path. Most likely, it's just going to be, jail time or fines when they get caught. But it's pretty crazy, and I'm sure there'll be more of it, right? Like there'll be more of this story in the weeks to come because those documents will leak somewhere. So we'll see where the trail leads us. So interesting stuff. Um, with that being said, please continue to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Again, we had record-breaking traffic this past month. So if we continue that into Cyber Awareness Month as well. So please like, share, subscribe, share with your nerdy friends, all that good stuff. And then definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel. So hit up all the websites to go by our name. Give me a person. I'm at RY Security Guy. That's RY Security Guy. I'm on LinkedIn, Clubhouse, Twitter, and Threads, kind of. Stay safe, stay secure.